afternoon, and welcome to our 6th edition of our coronavirus update here in Namibia. This afternoon with me is Tunole Mungoba. She's one of our young journalists with our youth publications and also other platforms, My Zone. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Danny. Good evening to you as well.
Before we go on, let's look very quickly at the international figures again as they stand at the moment. And this is from the YouTube page Real Time Counter. And as you see, yes, still substantially growing, 190,000 plus now, the total cases globally, deaths 7,500, and recovered, very important there, 81,000. So that's something to know people shouldn't disregard and just stare themselves blind against the figures that make people feel afraid and panicky.
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially, like you said, considering the amount of people who have actually recovered and have been cured of the virus, it's actually a good number, and it's something that can calm the nation down. Not only the nation, but globally as well.
You are a very young person. Very shortly, in your age group and yourself personally, how do you view the current circumstances?
The current circumstances, we don't really view it as we as young people from a health point of view, but it's just from a social aspect, because everything is on a standstill in terms of events being cancelled, people being on lockdown. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday from Germany, and he was telling me that they are officially on a lockdown. So that means that any interaction, no going outside. People are only working from home. So the situation is quite severe in other parts of the world. So from a Namibian point of view, I would say it's just the cancellation of events that is really affecting us, and it's giving us that realization of how serious the disease is.
But of course, the whole health issue and hygiene.
Yeah, that's not
are young people aware of that? That's the question. And are they following the prescriptions in terms of how we should behave?
Okay. In terms of the health and the hygiene caution measures that are put out, we are not being ignorant, at least because on our social media platforms, most of the stories and the videos and the photos that are being shared are relating on the coronavirus in terms of taking care of ourselves and how to be safe and against the virus. So that is something that people at least are taking into consideration. But of course, it would be biased because I see this just from a Windhoek, an urban point of view. In terms of people in the rural areas and in the informal settlements, it's kind of difficult to tell what is the engagement on that level.
We apologize for being a bit late today. The reason was that we were still trying to clarify some of the announcements made late this afternoon at State House by President Hage Geingob when he declared officially a state of emergency because of COVID-19. We're quickly going to look now at what this state of emergency means, some of the basic points. And again, I would like to clarify to you that all of this is not very clear cast yet. First of all, this state of emergency will last for 30 days. The head of state can then extend it to a period of 6 months. But if it should last any longer than that, it will have to be a decision by Parliament. The head of state also said no gatherings will be allowed of more than 50 and more people actually. 124 million, that is what is budgeted for our response at the moment. And then there's also a travel suspension of 30 days for Namibians. Now, this is one of the things that's a bit unclear, but there's a very definite request to all Namibians, if you plan to travel somewhere outside of the country, that you should revisit those plans and, if possible, cancel them over the next 30 days. Leisure, business, and social travel is suspended, but the important note there is that you can still travel to South Africa if you are a Namibian, but you will require to get approval either from the Ministry of Health, because it's for health reasons, or the Ministry of Immigration if it's for other purposes. So it seems the borders are not closed as in closed, but some travel will be allowed. And very important is that truck drivers, for example, they will still be allowed to do their job as usual. So we won't be cut off of important goods coming into our country from South Africa. Screening at all entry points into the country, airports as well, will be compulsory. And those are the first 6 points we'd like to highlight for you. Then a supervised self-quarantine period of 14 days for Namibians returning from high-risk countries. And also, yes, like we say, we think the borders are actually open. What we mean with open here is if you are a foreigner in Namibia at the moment, you can leave and go back home. You are not required to stay there here, and you can travel via air to South Africa and then onwards to another destination, or by road even. And if you are a Namibian, very important, the borders are also open for you to come back. That is for citizens and also permanent residents. Then international and private chartered flights can only be handled at Usia Kutaku International Airport and at Walvis Bay. Now that is the key points there to know that was mentioned by the head of states in his declaration of a state of emergency. Do you think people will be maybe a bit scared now because it's official state of emergency?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely do think that there's going to be a sense of panic that's going to go around the communities, especially considering the suspension of travel, because a lot of the suspension of travel of 30 days, if you look at the calendar, that also it's inclusive of the Easter weekend as well. And I'm sure that there are people who have made plans around that, so the fact that they have to put those plans on hold will definitely shake tables a bit.
How do you think we counter this? What must the message be for people to continue to stay calm?
I think the best message that we can give to people is to make sure that they read as much as possible on the virus, not only on the disease itself, but also, like we mentioned in the beginning of the show, the rates of recovery. So I think that's very important, because that should show, or that should be an indication that the situation is actually under control and there are measures put into place to make sure that it doesn't grow, or the cases do not increase.
Yes, so it's important now to prevent spreading of the virus. That is why all these decisions were put in place today. Also very important that it's older people who are the most at risk. So let us all also in all our behavior towards person of 60 years and older be very careful and trying to protect them as much as we can. We're now going to look quickly at two insert videos. Eleni Nanjatu is a journalist for Namibian Sun in the north. He is at the moment in Ondangwa. This morning he spoke to the governor of Osana region, Mr. Ilia Iramati, and he also had a short video conversation with the CEO of Ondangwa municipality, Mr. Ismail Namugonga. Let's take a look.
In place that you can share with the members of the public?
Exactly, sure. The head directorate, one of the measures we have decided to embark upon first is this primary preventions. Now, when we talk about primary preventions, we are referring to public educations. That's the only means you can. Now, from the head directorate, which is the custodians of health matters in the region, in fact, they have an isolation facility, Shakati Intermediate Hospital, and these are the issues we're also looking at discussing to see to it how readily is the region ready in case a victim is identified in the area, who contracted the COVID-19. So we've just been informed, and also the needs, to that facility within the Oshana region. And also we discussed, the issues of gathering, because we wanted to know all the stakeholders in the region, churches, town councils, and transportation facilities around the regions, and many other things. So we're just looking at what would be the best measures for us to be able to sensitize our members, our communities, which range from the street vendors, and also probably looking at ways. That's why we're police, for us to be advised where people are selling in the street. You look at Wolfish Bay, for example. They've taken, very drastic measures, even to close the popular outing areas. Now, looking in Ashana and all the North Central regions, we saw a lot of shebeens and people are, meeting there. We have informal settlements, around the regions. People, and some people don't have the information with regard to the coronaviruses, of which, out of the meeting, of which information such as, people are taking jokes of such a disease, not knowing its severities on the populations and so on.
So get it out. Hear what you say. You're not important.
Eleni?
Everybody Eleni online still.
This video is hanging.
The video is hanging, but yes. It's finished. Right.
Eleni?
Intro.
Put in place.
Yes, we are following all the measures as they are put or as they are being transmitted from our health authorities, Ministry of Health, World Health Organizations. We are following all those measures, and they are saying the best and effective method of preventing COVID from spreading is health. Keep your hands clean as you can, and that's why we have a lot of these things. It's made publicly for our clients that are coming. When you are coming in, you can at least wash your hands. When you are coming out from the office, you can also wash your hands. This is our cash hall, and a lot of our people are coming, clients are coming in here. That's why we put up these facilities for them to at least keep their hands clean and prevent the spread of these diseases.
Yes, we are now in this segment of the show. We're going to speak to our journalist up in Ondangwa, Eleni Nanjapu. He's of course working for Namibia Sun. Good afternoon, Eleni. We are having a bit of technical difficulties here, not able to hear Eleni at the moment. So we're just going to know just very quickly two very important messages emphasized there by the governor and the CEO. First, education. Second, wash your hands each chance you get as often as possible. So it's very good also that they put up a hand washing station outside of the cash hall at the municipality.
I think that washing your hands is one of the core values that should be advocated during this outbreak. As the CEO mentioned, it's the two first steps that you can always ensure to make sure that you do survive, not survive, but you prevent yourself from being infected, is to make sure you wash your hands and you cough inside your elbow or inside a tissue. I think it's something that we should always enforce, especially with our children, because they do tend to forget the importance of washing their hands. But yeah, I do agree with the CEO and the governor.
Then very important, students have questions. Namibian students studying in South Africa. Now, in terms of the state of emergency, you can come back to Namibia. That's important. If you are a citizen or a permanent resident of any type in Namibia, and that was emphasized by the minister as well today, is they cannot and will not close the border for you. When you get to the border, obviously, or if you fly in, you will be screened, just like anyone else. So so students currently outside of Namibia, in South Africa and even elsewhere, rest assured that you can come back, and depending on where you are in the world, even in another country, if you can travel to South Africa, then you can come back via South Africa into Namibia. Let's see if we have Eleni on the line. We have seen that we have lost him. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time in today's show to get back to him. We have journalists moving out to the regions actually from early tomorrow morning. So we'll definitely bring Eleni back quite soon. Now, in each episode thus far, mostly we've played you a contribution that was sent in. Now, before we play this one, it's very important for us to sketch what this is and tell you. This is a grade 7 pupil. His name is Dreyer van Rooyen. He's going to speak English. He's from Windhoek Afrikaans Private School. Now, you know, Namibian school children must also stay at home. And to know, it's very important, children aren't supposed to go to the mall and hang out in large groups. Actually, they're supposed to parents must try to keep them home and not let them be in big groups so that the virus doesn't spread. That's great. So what this boy did is, he has got nephews living in Australia, obviously also Namibians then now living in Australia, and he decided he's going to make a little video to tell him how he is isolating himself. Let's take a look at that video.
This is my house that I built because I was bored and I'm quarantining myself in our house, in my house. This is where I'm gonna play games. Inside of the house, I literally brought my TV in. I have the fan to keep me cool. Have some cookies. Have almost 5 liters of water, and then I have an aquarium playing on the laptop. So I and I have a light source right here. If I can look back here, I can put that on. Bam! I have light, and that's it. So it can have a disco party in here. But yeah, this is my survival bunker for the next 4 weeks. I'm not leaving.
It's very important to know, I think, also to have a bit of humor. So we're not trying to, COVID is not funny, but actually there's a good message behind the video, because it's a school child saying, I'm taking this very seriously and I'm staying at home.
And I'm protecting myself.
I'm going to ask the producer just one final time whether we have managed to re-establish contact with Ondangwa via Skype. I am not getting a clear signal yet. So we're just waiting to speak to our journalist in Ondangwa. I'm going to call it, unfortunately, there. Hopefully in tomorrow's show we'll have better luck with Skype and our internet. Tuno, thank you very much for joining me today. I just want to play the number or show you the number quickly. Remember, if you have any questions you would like us to look at and answer, obviously it's not possible to do it straight away. Please use this WhatsApp number in Namibia, 0811 7010. You can also use that to send us contributions, like the video you have seen and now and in the previous show. So from me and Tuno's side, very good afternoon to you, and in spite of the state of emergency, stay calm, and the media will help you to get to the bottom of the nitty-gritties as from tomorrow onwards. Stay safe.